I'd like to now bring up from Georgia Carry the Executive Director, Jerry Henry.
Good afternoon. I am Jerry Henry with GeorgiaCarry.org. I understand that an awful lot of y'all are already members. Is there anybody here that's not a member of Georgia Carry? Do you know anything about Georgia Carry? You want to hear anything about it? We can do it any way we want to do it. We're a Second Amendment grassroots organization that's been in existence for a little over 4 years. We started off with 6 people in a meeting room in Denny's over in Douglasville. 6 guys that had met on an internet forum, and they didn't like the laws in the state of Georgia. At that time, the laws were extremely restrictive. At that time, we figured we were about the 39th most restrictive state when it comes to firearms in the union. And we decided we were going to, or they decided that they were going to change that. They met, had a meeting, walked off, and started working on their agenda. The agenda dealt with a couple of things. It dealt with lawsuits over state preemption laws that were not being enforced. We were also being forced at that time to wait for the probate courts to issue license, basically on their time frame and not on ours or what the state said. The probate court didn't want you to have a license, they just held it up for 6 or 8 months or a year. We actually have a member in Fayetteville, Georgia that waited 7 years to get his firearms license. So we started suing on that. We sued on preemption for not being allowed to carry in state parks, etc. And as we did that, we started building on things and taking one victory to another county, to another city, to another county to get the laws, the firearms laws in the state of Georgia more uniform. We started recruiting at gun shows. We recruited places like today. And we have gone from 6 members in 2006 to about 6,400 members now. It's a volunteer organization. Our goal is to change the laws in the state of Georgia. Some of the things that we've done 2.5 years ago, a little over 2.5 years ago, it was against the law. And it was a 20-year felony for you to carry a firearm within a reasonable distance of a marked bus stop. You could be arrested for hijacking. Now you can ride on the bus, you can ride on the train, you can carry in the airport, there's numerous places that you can go. You couldn't carry in any place that served, any restaurant that served alcohol. We got that changed 2 years ago. There was also a public gathering law in the state of Georgia, which identified places that you could not carry, supposedly. This public gathering law had its basis in Jim Crow laws right after the Civil War to stop blacks from carrying guns. Everybody understood that there might be some guys that were a little upset at that time, and they might take things into their own hands. Of course, one of the big rallying cries now, every time we ask for another liberty, try to get them restored, is, well, blood's going to be running all over the streets. You know, people are going to be shooting each other, which doesn't happen and hasn't happened. But the public gathering law stated on the back of your license that it was against the law to carry to or while at a public gathering. And that included the parking lots. And in the church case, it included 200 yards away from the parking lot. So if you got up in the morning, drove your car towards church, and had a gun in it, you were actually breaking the law. After 104 years, this last June, we got a SB 308 passed that repealed that law, and now you have places where you can carry, a list of places where you can carry, instead of the vagaries. As the public gathering law said, you could not carry to or while at 5 places, basically: bars, churches, political rallies, concerts, and sporting events. But it said you can't carry here, but it's not limited to those. So the policeman, the judge, whoever wanted to, could define what a public gathering was. So at any rate, we got rid of that. And we now have a list of places where you can't carry. You can't carry you still can't carry into churches, although we have a lawsuit against the state of Georgia at this point challenging that. Excuse me, I have a bad back, so I have to lean down a little bit. You can't carry in some government buildings. You can carry in some, but not the others. There's a definition that we're trying to get straightened out. You can't, of course, carry in the schools. You can't carry in the nuclear power plants, which I never go to anyway. Makes me light up too much at night, so I don't do that. And you can't carry in mental health facilities, which I don't think I need, but some people might argue that point. At least some of my detractor emails kind of say that from time to time. I get a lot of nice emails. I'd be more than happy to share some. But at any rate, we have, as Georgia Carry, done an awful lot of things in the state of Georgia to change the laws, and we're still working on changing the laws. We have several things going on this year, and we will continue to fight to get our rights restored back to what the Second Amendment says. Now, I thought I'd talk a little bit about the Second Amendment. In December 15, 1791, as a matter of fact, the Bill of Rights were ratified. That was for the 10 rights that were enumerated in the Constitution. One of the good things about that was the Founding Fathers said, we know how to make these stick. We know how to make these stay forever. And what they did was they came up with a Second Amendment, 27 words, one sentence, that said, and I gotta get my glasses to read it to you, because I might misquote it, that says, where did I put it? A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. And that's pretty straightforward. That's exactly what it means. Now, unfortunately, since the time of the ratification of the Constitution and Bill of Rights, those rights have been eroded by numerous people, us allowing it to happen by some of the politicians that we've elected, and the courts by some of the judges that have been presented or been appointed to that. The Second Amendment also has been interpreted by some people to say that the militia is really the National Guard, and that we should not, as individuals, be allowed to keep and bear arms. That's not the case. It never has been the case, and it still is not the case. The purpose of the militia was, as most of you probably know, was for us to have small groups. The Founding Fathers did not want a standing army. They wanted small militias to be armed, ready to go. The well-regulated at that time meant that it was well-organized, they were well-trained, and they met and all reported to a captain who had them in shape to go do whatever defensive job they needed to do. Let's see here. The well-regulated militia was never intended to say anything else. Now, people have tried to say that because of the fact that it is a preamble to the Second Amendment. Back in the late 1800s, it was nothing unusual for somebody to write a preamble to a sentence. The preamble told you what the purpose of it was, but it did not limit it. There were no limitations on it. So the courts have gotten that wrong when they did it. Our Founding Fathers also were religious men who fought religious tyranny, and they knew and even stated in the Declaration of Independence that we had unalienable rights that could not be taken away from us, and that's what those rights mean. Now, unfortunately, well, fortunately, I guess, after numerous lawsuits, numerous decisions, etc., we finally got to the Heller versus DC case, which said that you could have a gun to defend yourself. But it also opened up the door to say that, well, you couldn't carry anything you wanted to, anywhere you wanted to, just anywhere you wanted to, or anyhow you wanted it to be. So it's open-ended. We're still at risk of losing our Second Amendment rights. We're at risk on a daily basis because of the present administration right now would like to see small arms treaty. They would like to see the treaty for with Mexico to stop us from carrying all our guns over there. Like, I'm going to do that. My guns are in my house, so you might want to look at my address and stay away. But there are people that are fighting daily to get rid of our gun rights. Gun control does not work, has not worked, and will not work. Gun control only disarms law-abiding citizens. Every country that has disarmed their citizens, the crime rate goes up, or tyranny takes completely over. I have a couple of sentences here I wanted to read by some people to tell you how a lot of people feel about gun rights. Lenin said, you remember Lenin from Russia? One man with one gun can control 100 people without one. Mao Zedong said, political power grows out of the barrel of a gun. And Adolf Hitler says, history teaches us that all conquerors who have allowed their subject races to carry arms prepared for their own downfall. We don't want to see that happen here. We have, one of the things that we have on our website, and we have some cards for people out here, our website has an awful lot of research articles on there. If you'd like to read some interesting reading, go to some of those, go to our website, look up related articles. We have the racist roots of gun laws in the state of Georgia. We also have a recent study by one of our ex-board members, Michael Minkus, who did a study recently about the economic benefits of being able to carry a gun. John Lott has done an awful lot of studies about how more guns, less crime. And Michael took it a step further and took places where you have allowed guns, where guns are allowed, where they're not allowed, and seeing what the economic impact is from allowing or not allowing them. So I'm for carrying guns. I don't know if y'all are or not, but I don't go anywhere without mine, except where the law will not allow us to go right now. So I hope y'all feel safe because I'm armed. But I feel safe. So, are there any questions about anything that I've said? Yes, sir.
You think we've got any concerns about ammunition? Being one of the fights that some of the people are going to go after, making it harder to get ammunition or making it harder to make ammunition?
Well, they're still trying to do that. I haven't seen a lot of success in places other than California. I'm sorry. They're about the only ones who really made any inroads on that. Basically, most people feel that we've been our own worst enemy the last couple of years by buying and stockpiling ammunition because we were afraid we wouldn't be able to get it once the present administration took over. I don't know. I've got a friend that swears that they are doing studies now to come up with some fashion to make the ammo or the gunpowder inert after about 2 years so that you have to shoot it or get rid of it. I don't see that happen. Hope it doesn't happen. But I don't see any, in the state of Georgia at least, I don't see any legitimate effort to control ammunition that will make it by. Anyone else? I guess y'all all